Hello and welcome everybody. This past weekend was Grand Prix Las Vegas, which was an event I attended. Thanks in a big part to all of you. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for your donations that made it possible. It was an awesome weekend. It really was. I got to hang out and meet a lot of people from the Discord, a lot of other Amulet players, which was awesome. German Gario with the Twitch Prime stuff. What is up, indeed, my friend? Thank you so much. Update. Thank you for being the first subscriber of the day. As you can probably see, my voice is not doing great. So I will try to to make sure that you guys can hear me well and everything. But yeah, so I got to meet a lot of you, including Case Heroes, including German Garyoke himself. Don't be so serious when I play. Yeah, I try. I'm gonna try for sure. Did we cash? Yes, we did. It was a crazy event. It was pretty damn large, honestly. It was like almost 2,000 people. So it was definitely the biggest event that I ever attended. Gear 237, thank you so much for the follow. And yeah, I played a lot of just really good Magic. It was actually pretty great. One thing that I was very surprised with is that every single one of my opponents was was just a light. Every single one of my opponents just didn't like. I didn't feel any kind of like tilt or stuff like that. Everybody was super friendly. Nobody was, oh, like, oh, you shouldn't have won that, that kind of stuff that you often see, and that in fact I did experience in LA. At that GP, I did experience a couple of salty opponents. And while I do enjoy the salt in Moto chat, as some of you might be aware of, I do love me some salt in Moto chat. It's definitely not the same when you are actually in person, because you create this tension that there's really no need for to be there or anything like that. It's just it just creates an unpleasant experience, and I did not really experience this at all. I guess up to the draft. We actually drafted an on demand Modern Horizon, sorry, draft with German Garyoke himself. And yeah, we did experience some salt over there. But yeah, you tell me you don't want your opponent to check or stable and slap. Yeah. Yeah, I would prefer not to, and I actually experienced that the entire weekend. It didn't matter whether I won or lost. My opponent was always super nice. They always shook my hand, and everything. So I really appreciated that, and it really it made the whole experience way more entertaining. It was just there were no feel bats, and I mean, after all, Magic is a game. It's not. I mean, sometimes there is money on the line, obviously, but it's just not. It is a game after all. And I was very very pleasantly surprised that I experienced no salt even going towards the last rounds of the GP, where we were actually playing for money, right? Like, because as soon as you got down to 10-5-1, which was the record that I was getting paired against, that's when you were basically eliminated from a cash finish. So it was actually very nice to experience that. You look very different in person, by the way. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know whether that's a compliment or a burn, but I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you, Case Heroes. Appreciate it. But yeah, the event was just awesome. It was great to meet so many people. We did get to to take some pictures. We did get to I did get to sign some prime times and amulets. It is always a ton of fun, and so many people coming over to me saying, telling me that they are enjoying the content that I'm putting out. It just means so much to me. So if you're ever at an event and you see me around, you're definitely very very much encouraged to come and say hi. So what I wanted to do today is, after this quick introduction, I wanted to go over all my rounds. How my experience was throughout the entire event. Curtis9 with that Twitch Prime sub. Welcome back for the 7th month in a row. Thank you so much for the support, Curtis. I really appreciate it. Do you think White Splash is still the way to go right now? I will. That was the thing that I was going to talk about afterwards. So after I am done talking about Saigo, thank you for the follow. After I'm done talking about all the, my GP Vegas experience and everything, I will go over my thoughts on the bans, what this means for Amulet, and what this means for the future, what I expect Modern to look like, and we'll definitely take it from there. What's up, Matty Ice? Matty Ice is another Amulet player we got to meet there. He was A1 and after day 1. And then the wheels kind of fell off a little bit for the both of us during day 2. But yeah, we're there representing Amulet. Amulet put 7 copies into the day 2, which I thought was awesome, considering probably there was at most 10 players total. So I was very, very excited to hear that. That's a very, very, very strong conversion rate. And Shiny New Bicycle, thank you for that Twitch Prime sub. Welcome back to the Primetime Stronghold. Hope you're enjoying your stay. And yeah, just Amulet was just gas all weekend. Yeah, there was a 1% share, so around 10 people. Yeah, so there was 7 people that made it to day 2, and I know of 2 people that didn't make it to past day 1. But it definitely seems like everybody else did, which is probably one of the strongest conversion rates actually. Which means that Amulet, even though it was a very, very Hogak meta, what is Adam's Twitch name? I don't know. I don't even know whether he has Twitch. Is your cam window bigger than normal? Yes, it is, Han. I made this kind of like overlay, so it's like we are talking a little bit closer. Since I'm not gonna do any gameplay with this one, when we move over to gameplay, I will go back to my traditional setup. I think it's so amazing that so many amateurs gather and spend time. Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool to talk to all of you guys. A bunch of people came over and they're like, yeah, I'm playing your 75, it's working out great, and I'm trying out like your list minus this, on like some minor tweaks and stuff like that. It really was awesome to me. It's so many Amulet players. The Amulet community is definitely something. There's no other deck that has a community as awesome as the Amulet community. So I do feel very, very lucky that I get to be a part of it. It really is awesome. So thanks everybody for loving this deck. Thank you for loving this deck. I know it's pretty easy to love this deck, but still, thank you so much. All right, moving on to the matches. I started the day. It was this is hilarious. So no buys, because even if you play a ton of Moto like I do, that doesn't really give you anything in terms of paper events. So no buys for me, which kind of sucked a little bit. I'm actually going to adjust the cam a little bit more. There we go. So I'm a little bit more centered, and you can see my beautiful background over there, right? Like you can see all my clothes and stuff like that. All right, so round one, I did immediately get paired against the GAC. Of course, I didn't know this. I win the die roll, and then I have a hand that goes Asusa, Primetime, Bog, Natty Bog, and then Amulet, Semi-Growth Chamber. I think it was a multi 6, and like something. I think it was a Steering's the other card. No, it was a multi 5 actually. I multi 5 in the very first round, and I keep a hand of, after putting 2 in the bottom, I keep Bog, Bounce Land, Asusa, Primetime, Amulet. So I go turn 1 Bog, go. My opponent goes turn 1 Faithless Looting, and I'm like, God damn it! If I had been on the draw, on the draw, this draw would have been so much better. And then, so they do their Hogak thing. They discard like a couple of things, and I top deck a Basic Forest. I play it out, play my amulet, pass the turn to my opponent. My opponent does the Hogak thing. I think they multi 5 as well, but they put a 8/8 on turn 2. Classic. So then I untap and I draw a Steerings. Since I had drawn the Forest the previous turn, now I have Bog and Forest in hand and I haven't made my land drop yet, and I have an amulet. So I Steerings and I find the second amulet, and I basically say to my opponent, I'm sorry. So I played a second amulet and killed them on turn 3. It was fun to kill on turn 3 on the play on a multi 5. That was definitely a very, very strong way to begin the weekend. I really enjoyed that a lot. Game 2, I just get completely rolled over. It just doesn't matter. Whatever it is that I was doing, it just didn't matter. My opponent just went nuts on me and just destroyed me before I even got a chance to do anything. And game 3, I had a very, very tough turn, which sounds kind of weird to say considering that, again, I had the double amulet draw. But I am trying to figure out if there's any possible way that I can not only... I can try to Asusa, pact for Asusa and, kill my opponent with a double amulet draw, but I can't actually present lethal because my opponent has 2 blockers and they are hanging out at 19. So because they have two blockers, I cannot actually swing for lethal. So what ends up happening, I tank and I tank and I tank, and then I go and I play my second amulet, and I'm like, I mean, you're gonna think that this is stupid, but I tell to my opponent, like, literally, if you have Force of Vigor, I die. And he's like, yeah, you're fine, like, take your time, because this we had like 30 minutes still yet, because like both of the first couple of games have been really quick. So he's like, yeah, dude, just go ahead, take your time. So I tank and I tank and I tank, and I finally figure out a line that plays around. My opponent has 3 cards in hand, and it plays around him having Force of Vigor, because it's gonna give me enough mana to pay for my pact. But it also presents them with a 2-turn clock, because I am able to tighten them and just like kill them. I'm not able to actually kill them right here, because if I go for it, then I do die to Force, because I would die to 2 pacts, to 2 pact triggers on my upkeep. This, of course, is because I had to pact for the Asusa instead of naturally having the Asusa. So if I had actually had the Asusa in hand and I'm pacting for the Titan, this is way easier, because I can sequence my lands way more comfortably. But because it's the other way around, I really need to think all of this through. But I do find the line basically that loses to him having exactly Force of Vigor, Green card, and Assassin's Trophy. And like those need to literally be his 3 cards in hand plus a draw step. So I end up going for it. He doesn't have it, and I end up winning. So starting the game starting the tournament at 1-0 really feels like $1 million. And K Storm's Fury, thank you for that Twitch Prime sub. Welcome to the Primetime Stronghold. But did you play around Force of Despair? No, I did not play around Force of Despair correctly. That is a granted. That is a granted. But yeah, I just prime time my opponent, and it feels great. Round 2, I play. Oh, this is also really funny. Round 1, I play against the Will. Second round, I also play against the Will, and he's on a Dracitron. So I keep like a reasonable hand with Amulet, and like a bunch of just lands, just missing a Tolaria West. So he goes turn 1 wastes expedition map, and I'm like, nice. Then I just draw and I play my amulet, and at that point it feels pretty good for me. Colonel Sanders with a Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much for the support. Thanks everybody for coming back to the Primetime Stronghold. Really happy that you're hanging out here today. So I finally, I just basically kill him when he on turn 4, he decides to tap out for an Endbringer, and he had a Ghost Quarter in play, which was the toughest part, because I'm just like sandbagging this bounce land with an Amulet in play, but I just don't want him to know. Sorry, I miss your name. Pierre Mario Bros. Thank you for the follow. So I'm here just like sandbagging this bounce and hoping that he doesn't have the TKS, because I finally drew the pact, and then he taps out on turn 4 for an Endbringer, because he had mapped for a temple, and then he played a Mind Stone on turn 3, I think. So he taps out for the Endbringer, and I'm like, no chalice. rub my hands a little bit, and I pack for Titan and I just destroy him. And game two goes pretty much the same way. He just never sees a chalice. I'm not sure whether he was, not very familiar with the matchup or something like that, because like it feels like if you're playing, like if I were playing against Amulet as a Dracitron, I would just basically mulligan for chalice, or you can't really beat a 6/6. So it was that was probably like the quickest round that I played, because it was I just had decent to good hands against an opponent that was just playing a deck that is not well positioned against mine. Then we move on to round 3, where I play against another will. So I get a nice 3-for-1 in terms of wills. Um, and they are on Best Girl. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. Will is playing Mono Red Phoenix. Mono Red Phoenix prowess. I didn't see any Phoenixes in game 1, so I celebrated for Mono Red prowess. Not that it really changes things much. Maybe against, I think that against just the prowess deck, I wouldn't bring the Tormo script. But I do anyway, because I expect him to be on Phoenix. Chalice on 0 is always better than Chalice on 1. If you're talking about the E-Tron matchup, yes, in game 1. In game 2, things change a little bit, because first of all, I have a lot of answers to Chalice, and second of all, I'm siding out pacts, because Chalice on 0 is such a beating. So yes, what you see on screen is the deck that I registered for Vegas. So yeah, so I'm facing my Mono Red prowess opponent. Game 1, I am super close to stabilizing, but he just ping, just kills me. He just drew a lot of burn, and there was not much I could do about it. Game 2 actually plays out in an interesting way. I go turn 1 Amulet, and no, that's a lie. I top deck the Amulet on turn 1, which was basically like the best possible draw. I keep a hand of Sanctuary, Path, Purge, Azusa, Titan, and I think maybe a Vesuba or something. So I top deck the best possible draw, which is an Amulet, because that basically speeds me up by a full turn, which is just incredible. So I play Amulet on turn 1, on turn 2, sorry, and then I play my Sanctuary, so I have access to white mana. My opponent plays a Swift Spear on 1, and then plays another Swift Spear on 2. And when he swings for 6, I think, I do definitely want to answer one of the Swift Spears, because I know that it's going to deal a lot of damage. So I am really facing a tough situation, a tough choice, because I can either Purge, which is more mana efficient, and it also doesn't give my opponent LIN, that it doesn't ramp them, which I think is pretty important because this is only turn 2, or I can path the Swift Spear. I tank for 10 seconds or something, and I finally end up choosing to path the Swift Spear, because I think that the Purge is going to be more important down the line. So I untap, I play my Azusa, I play the land, the other untapped land that I had, actually I can't remember what it was, and then the Vesuba copying the Sanctuary, and I bounce the Sanctuary back to hand. And I pass the turn to my opponent. My opponent goes turn 1, they untap, they cast Metamorphose, and then they tap 3 mana, play a Blood Moon. And I'm like, alright, float green white. After the Blood Moon resolves, I will purge it. So I answer the moon, I untap, my opponent did not kill my Azusa. Boom, 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 dead. It was great. It really, Celestial Purge really was really worth it in that matchup. It did some work down the line as well, but it was just a game winner right then and there. Do you take enough of this, or you? Oh, I do have a pretty good memory, yeah. I'm kind of like, I have like a it's not like photographic memory, but it's like it's easy for me to like go back and like think about. I just basically see myself back in the situation, if that makes any sense. And I'm going to resize the chat real quick over here. There we go. Yeah, all right. So game 3, it's actually not that close. I just naturally draw Amulet, and he does have an upgrade for the first Amulet, but at that point it doesn't matter because I have already like Azusa and I ramped a bunch. I have already cast my Titan and he can basically never come back. He tells me at the end that he was only able to bring me back to 1 because I was able to play and replay Crossroads twice. So I was able to gain like 6 life of a single Titan. And then I drew for the turn and I drew a Bailoff, and that's when I'm like, yeah, okay, game over. So I just play the Bailoff and my opponent just concedes because I'm up to 10. They just have like 1 dude in play and there's no way they can ever come back. And that felt great. Like actually beating what is, I think, a very bad matchup for us. It was really cool. Like that was definitely at this point I'm just feeling like $1 million. I'm like, oh, unstoppable. That's nice. Get party against the last the next opponent, which is called Alec, and he's on blue-white. He actually makes a very heads-up play. He on turn 3, I go turn 1 Amulet. That's a lie. I go turn 1 land, turn 2 Simic Growth, and then turn 3 play a Scout of the Simic Growth and replay the Tolaria West. So I have Simic, T-West, Scout in play. My opponent has like Fountain, Plains, and Field of Ruin. So in my main phase, they smart, by the way, very smart. They destroy my T-West with Field of Ruin. And again in their main phase, they surgical, which was also smart, by the way, they surgical my T-West, which I thought was a super heads-up play. I reveal a hand of Azusa, Trinket Mage, Titan, Bounce Land, and an irrelevant card. So at this point, I'm like, all right, that stops my engine. That's very cool, for them. Like that was actually a very heads up play. Props to them on that. And then my second thought is, well, my opponent fetched for a basic island. They didn't set for a basic plane, so I'm like, sweet. If I top deck an Amulet and then don't have the Force, I just win. Because I already have the Trinket Mage and I have an untapped Scout, an active Scout. So we shuffle after the surgical. I look at the top card, Amulet. So I'm like, all right, I guess this is how it's gonna be today. I play my Amulet, then I play my Bounce Land. That's enough mana for Trinket Mage. Play Trinket Mage, and because of the Forest that I got from the field, I still have 1 more mana. I play the Amulet. Activate Scout, play my Bounce Land, play Azusa, boom. Oh, Brian, I'm feeling great. Like my voice is pretty gone. Oh yeah, Aaron Ken. Yeah, I'm definitely very quite happy with the Banner Mouse, and I will definitely talk about it after I'm finished talking about all this stuff, all the GP Vegas report. But yeah, I thought that it was a very heads up play on my opponent. I thought that they played very well, and that was a very smart move on them. I was just lucky enough to top deck exactly the perfect card. Of course, that's when the experience come that, if I see this line from the previous turn, when my opponent is surgical me, I'm thinking, well, if I draw an Amulet, I guess I just win. So that was great. No, Brian, this is the list that I registered in Vegas. I'm doing a GP Vegas report right now, and I will talk about the changes and where to go moving forward as soon as I'm done with this. So that was game 1. Game 2, my opponent just moves to 5 and doesn't hit their 4th land drop until turn 7, and I just have ramming up Excavator to Tolaria West going, and it's just too much value. He can never come back from it, and that is just, that is just that. 2-0 against blue-white, 4-0 with no buys. I'm feeling pretty great at this point. Next round got paired against Burn. I just keep a very slow mid-rangey hand with Field of the Dead and stuff like that. I just get burned out. Not much that I could do. Game 2 is also pretty straightforward. I have an Amulet draw, and he doesn't have Smash the Smithereens until turn 4 or 5 or something, and it's just whatever. He can never come back. And game 3, it's very interesting in that I draw a bunch of lands to the point where I have an active Field of the Dead in play, and I have a Pact of Negation in hand, and I have Tularia West, Simic Chamber, and I have 7 lands total in play, and I have a Susa and a Scout in play. So I put myself in a situation where I'm at 4, and my opponent is basically drawing to exactly burn spells because his creatures do nothing, and I am drawing towards any Binds land. Straight up wins the game because I can just transmute. I can bounce my Tularia West and I have transmute mana. I have Pact of Negation in hand so I cannot really die. I have any land gives me more lands. Any Pact or Titan wins the game. Any I'm just like clocking him with a bunch of 2/2 zombies. So I basically I didn't do the exact math, but I would say like roughly 70% of my draws are either good to straight up win the game, but I hit like the 30% remaining for like 4 turns in a row. I have like 4 turns to draw out of this, and I draw Scout, Rex Sage, Azusa, Scout, and I just die because my opponent draws a Reef Bolt off the top and just kills me eventually. So that one was like the first. That was a pretty feel bad moment. It's just like I put myself in a situation where basically the vast majority of my deck gets me there. I just don't. I can't really get upset because, well, I drew a 4-outer out of the top in order to win my previous match. So I'm just like, whatever. That's fine. So I lose against Burn. Then I check on Discord for the last round, and I have Garrett, who is another member of the Discord. He actually posts in my Discord that we got paired, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, this is so bad. And we had actually talked like 2 rounds prior to this. We're just hanging out, we're just talking, and then we're like, god damn it, we just got paired together, this sucks. So the next round is the Amulet Mirror. So I keep a very strong hand. I have a turn 3 kill on the play. So I go turn 1 Amulet. Garrett goes turn 1 Scout. I go turn 2 Amulet, Steerings or something. And he goes, wow, that's a really good hand. And then he says, I think mine is better. And he just shows me his hand. And I'm like, okay, you have the second Amulet. You have like, yeah, that checks out. So he very smartly beats my turn 3 kill on the play with his turn 2 kill on the draw. Tight plays, Garrett. Props on that one. Game 2 is very, very interesting. I keep a slow-ish hand. I move to 6, I think, but it's pretty robust. It has like interaction for prime times. It has interaction for amulets. So basically, what happens is Garrett goes turn 1 Amulet, turn 2 nothing, and turn 3 he. Oh, is that you, Garrett? That's awesome. Oh no. Oh, he also wrote an answer board. Yeah. He did. Yeah, I read it. It's pretty cool. I recommend you guys check it out. It was on Reddit, and then he also posted it on my Discord, I think, and in the Amulet Discord as well. But yeah, super nice guy. I love talking to him. But yeah, game 2 it gets in a really nice spot where he packs for Azusa with 3 lands in play. So he plays the Azusa with a ramming up in play. And something really fun that happened too. It's like he's cyber and he's like, I'm gonna bring my cyber notes for this one, just in case. So he takes out his sideboard guide and he's like, I'm gonna go off the rails here because it says that I should keep Bojuge Bog in the decks and I want to take it out. And I go like, and then he says, oh right, they're ramming up Ghost Squad. Okay, so I guess the Bog is staying in. I'm like, yep. Next level plays, dude. And the funniest thing is this actually does come up in the, I think in game 3. No, it comes up in game 2. No, it does not come up in game 2. It comes up, I think, in the following. I don't even remember anymore. But well, game 2, the way that it works out is he goes for this play. He has 3 mana in play. He shows me the bounce land. I have a Scout, an Amulet, and like a bounce land in play. That's it. or like a bounce land and 2 lands. That's it. And Garrett has Ghost Squatter, Ramunap, and a Simic Growth Chamber, or a Celestial Sanctuary or something. And he goes, okay, pack for Asusa, play Asusa, and he shows me the bounce land, and he's like, play this every time. I'm like, hang in there, hang in there. So in response to the first trigger, I will activate Scout, flash in the Vesuva, copy your Ghost Squatter, and tap Ghost Squatter your bounce land. So now he only gets access to 5 mana tops, and he can't primetime me. Arcbound 8901 with that tier 1 sub. Welcome back to the Primetime Stronghold. Thank you so much for the support. So I Ghost Squatter him, basically stopping his primetime for a turn. He goes fetches a forest. He bounces the Ghost Squatter. He replays Ghost Squatter. He Ghost Squatters me. Then he replays the Ghost Squatter with the Ramunap and passes the turn to me. So now I untap, I packed for my own Ramunap, I replay the Vesuva from the graveyard, and tap in with the Amulet trigger. I Ghost Squatter his other bounce land. He loses the game on his upkeep to the pack trigger. That one definitely was nice. Like there was one guy like right next to us just watching the game, and he's like, ooh. It was like the best the best reaction that I could have hoped for. It was great. And then game 3, I keep like a path hand in order to interact with his Quick Titan with explosives on 1, so I can interact with his amulet, so he can't really kill me. So he starts sandbagging amulets, but then eventually I just never draw a white source, so when he resolves a Titan and I whiff on a white source, it's just over, so I just scoop. But it was still a very, very fun match, and again, awesome to meet, you know. If I'm gonna lose to something, I'd always rather it be the mirror, you know. How is Field of the Dead? We're gonna get to that very, very quickly right now, actually. So the next match that we played against was Hogak. That's correct. So I'm playing against this. Oh no, it's the other way around. I played. Okay, so I missed one. I missed these two. Whoops. So these ones are actually the other way around. I played against 4-color Ren first, and then there we go, fixed it. So I play against 4-color Ren, but the funniest thing is that I go turn 1 Amulet, and he goes turn 1 Basic Forest, play an Astrolabe, and then I draw, and I draw exactly a second Amulet, and I kill him on turn 2. So basically, I do my whole sideboarding for against Ursa. So I put him on Ursa because that's what makes sense, you know. Like when it goes turn 1 Snowland into Astrolabe, even though it's a forest. I think what tricked me here is the fact that I had been testing the Bug Ursa version where I was playing a forest. So I'm like, oh, so he's clearly on Bug Ursa. Like that makes sense, right? Well, so I sideboard and everything, and then he goes like turn 1 fetch and go, and I play turn 1 Scout. I'm like, I'm keeping a hand with double Scout, Amulet. I'm like, everything's great. This is gonna be awesome. And then he untaps, fetches for a Basic Forest, and he plays a Ren. And I'm like, God damn it! I guess we're in trouble now. So he kills my Scout, and I have a second Scout like hanging out in my hand, and I'm like, this is just terrible. This sucks so much. So I'm like developing super slowly. On turn 4, I play a bounce land because that's the only land that I have. And he like cryptic bounces my bounce land. Everything is terrible. Everything is working out backwards. I have terrible cards in my hand. I don't have my good cards that I want to have. There's no Field of the Dead in my deck. There's no Pact of Negation in my deck. Everything's just terrible. However, fortunately for me, I get to a point where he just whiffs for maybe like 10 turns or something. Like it was pretty egregious. He whiffs so much. His hand was like just a bunch of lands and kind of nothing else. And then I finally managed to resolve the primetime. I fortunately I had kept the Cavern of Souls in because I had cited out Colony Garden and Cavitar Crossroads. So I managed to resolve it prime time. I do get to like somewhat stabilize, but he's like Jace bouncing my prime time and just attacking me down with a Tassiger. And then it gets to a point where I just managed to kill the Jace. And then he's kind of left with, I'm at 6 and he has Tassiger and Snapcaster in play. He has 9 mana in play, and he main phase taps 4 to activate Tassiger. He mails Cryptic and an Opt, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna give you the one that doesn't kill me. So I give him the Opt, and then he opts, and then draws, he bottoms or whatever, and he draws a card, and he's like, oh crap, and then he shows me a land and a Snapcaster, and he's like, I think I just missed lethal, and then he just concedes to me. Which was weird. It was an early concession, but I guess that I don't know. He just like did not have an answer to a prime time or something. Because I had been bogging his graveyard, and it just he just didn't have anything left really for that mana. So I would have been able to attack with Titan and just clock him and stabilize that way. So it ended up working out in the end. So we're finally down to the win and in for day 2. Win and in for day 2, and I'm facing my opponent, move to 5, he moves to 5, I keep a reasonable mid-range hand, turn 4 Titan with an Amulet, that's important, turn 4 Titan with an Amulet, but he gags me out so quickly. His Teacher Supplier mills like 2 Vengevines, and then he casts Tegak on turn 2, and I'm like, god damn it, nice move to 5, and I just die. And then game 2, it gets super grindy. I have Grafdigger's Cage and Field of the Dead, both of them going at it. Field of the Dead really working over time in this matchup. How you doing, Asgard? Welcome. And yeah, it was a grind. My opponent is like trying to. At one point, it's just like he just cannot afford to destroy my cage. He needs to like destroy my amulet because otherwise he's just dead to the prime time. Because I cast the prime time and on response he like claims my amulet because otherwise he's just dead. But at that point, it's just too late. It just doesn't matter what he's doing. I'm just able to stabilize thanks to field. And then game 3, I do fetch. He keeps like a slow-ish hand, but I very smartly play around Assassin's Trophy. So when I resolve the Titan, I go for Tolaria West. Field gets me 2 Zombos. Then I bounce. Next turn I play he trophies my Titan. I get another forest. Get one more zombie, and he's just not able to keep up. So definitely in this is the match where Field of the Dead really did work. I won both games because of it. It was just awesome. It just did everything that I could have hoped for. Yeah, for the Dead is kind of cool. I don't know how it's gonna be now, honestly. Now after the gag ban, like that was definitely like the matchup for Field of the Dead. Field of the Dead is super good versus it really was. It really was. Like it definitely showed up in this match. Very. It really worked out very well. How do we actually deal with that? Yeah, I'm gonna go into that quick in round 11, Richin. So nice. I'm locked in for day 2, and I play my last match. My opponent goes turn 1, Waterlog Grove, and I'm like, oh, you have to be kidding me. This is how it's gonna end. All right, 6-3 into game 2. He doesn't even need to play quickly. It's just like he just neobrands me on turn 4, gets a Grisserand and just draws the entire thing. However, this is a Marshall, which is funny enough somebody that I played against last week on stream, and who actually I guess knew me because they came to hang out on stream and everything after they beat me like on turn 2 twice or whatever. And that's when I was ranting about how I dislike the existence of Neobrand in the format. And yeah, so I played against him, Super nice guy. I love meeting him. But dude, like he knew what was up. He really knew what was up. It really made me respect Neobrand to a whole other level. And he's not only just like, oh, let's go for it and just like draw a billion cards and win. He has like a dice where he's representing like the amount of times that he can actually draw with Griselbrand without decking himself. He's all the time very aware of the remaining cards in his deck by just counting like the permanents that he has in play and his cards in hand. So he counts there, he does the math, and then from there he's just like making calculations of when to pact based on that, when to pact for the worm, how many times to draw, in which way to sequence his draws with like metamorphoses. It was actually kind of cool to watch him go off. I'm not gonna lie. I was looking him go off. I'm like, wow, this guy really knows what is up. That's so awesome. So yeah, he just completely destroys me, and there's nothing I can ever do. So I just pass the turn. I sideboard, and then game 2, I'm on the play, and I stare at a hand with Cavern of Souls, bunch of lands, Scout, and Cage. Sneap. I snap, keep it. I play my land, and I'm like, do I Scout on one in order to start getting ahead, or do I just not messing around here? Turn 1 Cage. Let's go for the throat. Andrea with a tier 1 sub, dude. That's awesome. Thank you so much, and congrats on the top 8, man. That's so cool. Andrea top 8'd the Legacy MCQ, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, you kicked ass. That's so cool. Congratulations. Oh, you guys are talking about field. Yeah, I don't know whether it's gonna continue to be great. I guess we're gonna see how the meta adapts, right? But yeah. So going back to the matchup, I just turn 1 Cage, no messing around, and I start. I just do my thing. I just make land drops. I start trying to set myself in the best possible way. At this point, I have drawn a path, so I'm feeling pretty great. Because even if he answers my Cage, I still get to do some stuff. I'm clocking with Scout. I get him down to I get him down to like 17 with Scout attacks. Then he like gains a bunch with Chancellor, and I'm like still clocking him with Scouts, and then I draw I finally draw a Titan, and I win. And then game 3 was my favorite. Game 3 was my favorite. It really was. So I think he mulligans to 6, and then he keeps, and I keep Gemstone Mine, Scout, Path, Primetime, Bounce Land, Azusa. That is my 7, and I'm like, this hand is like it is as good as I can do, you know. So he goes turn 1 land go, and I go turn 1 Gemstone Mine go, and then he goes land pass, and I untap land Scout go. So at this point he's just like, what you got going on over there? So even though I guess I am unwillingly representing Spell Pierce, but I'm representing it so hard, and because it's a Gemstone Mine, it not only represents the path that I do have in hand, but it also represents the Spell Pierce. So it's pretty great, right? Because now I'm like in a situation where he just doesn't want to go for it, you know, because he can just wait a couple of turns and just go for it, playing around Spell Pierce very easily. So what happens though is I draw my Purge. And at this point is when I'm like, all right, I guess I have a shot here. So I play another land and pass the turn to him, and he again goes land go, and I end of turn flashing the bounce land. So at this point I have like 5 mana with 2 Gemstone Mines, which is very important that it's 2 Gemstone Mines. And then I have enough mana to like play an Azusa. I'm just missing a Titan at this point. And then he finally goes for it. He Neoforms the Griselbrand away. Griselbrand resolves. he draws 7. In response to that, I path to exile. And this is actually important too. I path to exile. In response, he draws 7. In response, I purge. So now the purge resolves first. He has only 4 cards in hand. And he clearly does not have the Nourishing Shoal in hand. So he's like, oh. Like, oh, I guess that one's pretty good. So the Griselbrand gets exiled. He can't do anything about it. And then he draws 7. Then the path whiffs. So he doesn't get a free island. And then he draws other 7. My out here is for him to draw that second, for him to draw his second Griselbrand within those top 14 cards. So he does all that stuff, and then he puts a 4/4 Allosaurus Rider in play, and then he puts another Allosaurus in play, and he passes the turn. And at this point, I'm like, there's a shot here. So I untap. I think I have one turn when I draw nothing. Then he neoforms the or Eldritch Evolutions. He evolutions the Allosaurus Rider, and then he brings in a Chancellor of the Tangle, and I'm like, yes, yes, it worked out. Yes, it totally worked out. He drew the Griselbrand. And at this point, I'm just like, this is awesome. I think I'm gonna get there. I finally top deck a Titan on the following turn, or maybe I had a Titan, but I'm missing just one land. I finally top deck that one land, slam the Titan, and then of course Titan takes over. He has Allosaurus Riders just like trading with my prime times because they are 6/6s. But I also learned that Chancellor of the Tangle has Vigilance and Reach. I didn't know that. It didn't really come up here, but it's kind of cute to know about that. And then yeah, just like Prime Time just kills him, obviously. And that's how I beat what is probably our absolute worst matchup. Which, funny enough, also happened in LA where I beat Cheerios. Like, I just beat, in GPs, like, my record against absurdly bad matchups is actually quite good. And then I go and lose against Burn, which is just kind of weird. But well, I am super happy that I managed to finish at 7-2, beating Neobrand in the last round. I'm just ecstatic. It just goes great. We go out for dinner. We go to this, like, all-you-can-eat sushi place where I don't eat all-I-can-eat sushi. But... it was a good time. It was definitely a good time. That's a lie. Actually, I went to an Indian place. That was the second night. Indian place first night. Pretty cool Indian place. All right. Day 2. Day 2 begins, and I go turn 1 Amulet. I keep a hand of Amulet, Bounce, Coalition Relic, Titan. I'm just busy the Bounce and for a turn 2 Titan on turn 3 Titan on the play with Amulet. So I'm like, Sneap, this works. All right. So I'm on the play, turn 1 Amulet, go. Opponent goes turn 1 Flooded Strand. I untap, play my Bounce, tap 3, bounce my non-bounce line. I want to keep the bounce line in play. And I play Coalition Relic. My opponent fetches Spell Pierce. I'm like, ugh. Ugh, really? The one-off Spell Pierce. God damn it. Yeah, no, Matty Eyes, we actually got all-you-can-eat sushi on Saturday night. I was mistaken. It was a nice Indian place on Friday night. But yeah, I just get completely wrecked by that Spell Pierce. Now I'm super behind because I don't have a bounce line in hand because I was kind of banking on the Coalition Relic resolve in order to make my mana better. So I am 2 turns behind at least. In terms of being able to cast a Titan, it's just brutal. But yeah, my opponent was very, very good at playing blue-white. I was very impressed. At one point, I had Field of the Dead going. I had a Prime Time in play. I had Transmitted for Ballista already. And I make the first gross punt of the tournament. I already have a T-West in hand, and I'm trying to set up to make a Lethal Ballista. My opponent is at 13, and I can make, I think, a Ballista for 11 with like one redundant mana. I have one amulet in play. So I steerings, and I see of legal targets, I see Amulet, so the second Amulet, and I see a Tolaria West. I think for a second, I'm like, okay, so when I drew a bounce land, this Tolaria West, this Amulet is going to mean that any bounce land just straight up wins the game, right? Because I can just make an uncounterable ballista. I had Cavern in play. So I take the second Amulet, and I just leave the bounce land. I put the Tolaria West to the bottom, and I transmute for Walking Ballista, and then I 2 turns later I am finally forced to play the Ballista because my opponent has a Jace going with it, the Fairy. They are kind of getting away a little bit, and they're whiffing on rats. And then eventually I have to slam the Ballista for 12 when my opponent is at 13, and they finally find the land, and they finally found the Wrath, and they wrath me, and then just take over from there. I finished that game, and I'm like, dude, that was incredible. Like, for 1 second there, I just couldn't see myself losing the game, but I just shook his hand like, this is like the game 1 handshake, just like, dude, like, you got me so well. Like, that was so impressive. I like, props on that. You played perfect, because he really did play close to perfect. What's up, Jonathan? How did you finish in the end? Jonathan is my absolute nemesis. He is probably like the best Neobrand player out there. He just consistently kicking ass with Neobrand, and you must be pretty happy that you still get to do it, huh? Now it's gonna be still in the format, so I guess that you're gonna continue kicking my ass, dude. Feels bad. I just went over my matchup with Marshall. which was pretty cool. Still, I can't believe I stole that one. 11-2 into 11-4 classic. Yeah. So I drove back with Kevin Ponce, and he told me that he got paired against you in round, like the second to last round or something, when he was on Thalia Stompy, and he's like, yeah, that matchup is pretty much unlosable. Like, I think it's worse. So I'm kind of losing proof for new home. Oh, yeah. So he was explaining to me, like, yeah, I got paired against Final Nav, and like, yeah, the Neobrand matchup is pretty much unlosable. I'm like, yeah, he was explaining me all the stuff that he can do to you. I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty gross. Turn 1 Thalia, turn 1 Arbiter. It sounds like, rough. But yeah, that's very cool. It was awesome to meet you there. So we go to game 2 against game 1 lasted like 35 minutes, I want to say. Something like that, and we go into game 2. We're shuffling quickly, which I appreciate. I appreciated very much from my opponent. Great sportsmanship. He was just a all around like very stand-up guy, and he plays like turn 1 not much, turn 2 not much, turn 3 mentor, and I'm like, okay, can I raise this somehow? And then I managed to finally play like an uncounterable Titan on turn 4, while I'm just making chump blockers for his mentor with Field of the Dead. Field of the Dead again does a ton of work this matchup. He like Detention Sphere exiles my field, and I like next turn I make 4 zombies again. It's just like I'm just going super wide on him. And he still gets me to a point where I need to top deck. He has me on a 2-turn clock. He was very smart. He could have Jaced, or he could have attacked with a click. Click's so fucking good against us. He can attack me with a click and a colonnade to put me on a 2-turn clock. And yeah, holy cow, I played Amulet. I played the list that you're seeing on screen right now. And he puts me on a 2-turn clock, and he's like, okay, you need to draw something. So he has 2 colonnades going on, and I'm at 14. He swings for 7 with the colonnade. I top deck, and I'm like, okay, I have to draw a good one. And I top deck, and I top deck a Ghost Quarter. So I play my Ghost Quarter, get a zombie, and I swing with the team or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I guess that was a good one for you to draw. And then he untaps. He, of course, presents lethal. And I Ghost Quarter the colonnade, obviously, because I don't want to die. So I Ghost Quarter the colonnade, which, by the way, I have to do in like I can't do it beginning of combat. I have to do it after combat has been declared, because otherwise he can like beginning of combat like use the new land that he gets in order to activate the second coordinate. I think that's what happened. So I in combat I kill the coordinate, and then I'm like, okay, snap the deck, and then ta-dan, who's on top? Oh yeah, Prime Time is on top. Prime Time is on top. He's like, yo, sup? So I play an uncounterable Titan, and he's like, yeah, you got it. And he picks it up, and then a judge is right next to us, and we're like, how much time do we have left? And we look over there while we're shuffling. He's like, all right. So I guess that we have minus 0.2 seconds to figure out game 3. So we just end on the draw. But it was two such great games of Magic that we are both just like, I kind of don't care. That was just awesome. It was, yeah. I just shook his hand like 4 times. I'm like, dude, that was some incredible games. That was so awesome. And he is like, yep, I agree. It really was awesome. Then next round, I get paired against a guy called Liam, who is on Banned Soul Herder. Game 1, I have the turn 3 kill, double Amulet, no big deal. They just ruffle stomp him. He can't really do much. He had like 1 path to exile, which just didn't matter. Game 2, he just takes over. This is a match where I just whiffed a lot. I don't know if I made a lot of mistakes. I'm pretty sure that I made some, because you know when you're playing those matches, but it's just going so long and it's just so exhausting that you're kind of like, I'm pretty sure I could have played a line. I literally just finished playing 50 minutes of non-stop, like very important decisions every single turn. It's super rough. I'm kind of like exhausted, and we like this just goes into the next match, and it's the same thing. Like every decision matters. I cannot be messing around. He's just like accruing value with Soul Herder every single turn. I'm trying to like stop his engine, but he shows me like multiple Force of Negation. He shows me multiple Ephemerates. That's the card. I couldn't find the word for that card. What's up, Stencil? Welcome. And he just grinds me to the ground. It's definitely one of those matchups where it took like several turns when I'm like, if I draw a Titan, I can win it. It's one of those games, yeah. Yeah. It just felt like it got to a point. Usually, I feel like the Soul Herder matchup, I feel like they are actually advantaged in the long game. It's weird to say, but it's one of the few matchups where that is the case. And finally, the game ends on this is a match where I had drawn actually 4 Sakura Tribe Scouts. I have all 4 of them in play, and I'm just trying to. This is the game, the mistake that I messed up in order to lose game 2. I'm just whiffing, but I have Bojukebok in hand, which I have not shown him. So I forget to play around Ephemerate, because I forget that is a card that people play in decks in Modern. And he goes, play Eternal Witness, targeting Time Warp. And I'm like, activate Scout, flashing Bojukebog. And he's like, okay, so you're doing this in response to the trigger after I have chosen a target. I'm like, yes. So I activate, I bog him, targeting him. He ephemerates the Witness in response. I activate a second Scout, play a bounce land, bounce Bojukebog. I activate the third Scout, play a Bojukebog. And I'm like, target you. He plays another ephemerate, and he targets his Witness again, and I'm like, you have to be kidding me. And then he finally just gets me, because I have another bounce line in hand, but I'm missing the 5th Scout. And then he eventually gets the time warp back, and then he's gonna have like 1 ephemerate coming back next turn. So I just know that it's over. Yeah. Yeah, shame I didn't slip the 5th one in. Yeah, just like a second circular protection red, huh? If you can do this in old school, why wouldn't you be able to do that in Modern, huh? So yeah, we go to game three, and we again get to a super grindy game. I get to a point where same story. I just whiffed a lot. This was the game where the match overall where I'm like I got really lucky in the game in the first game, obviously turn 3 kill on the play, but games 2 and 3 I just didn't draw gas. I just couldn't draw anything. I'm just flooding on scouts and redundant Asusas, and I'm like destroying his soul herder, destroying his. I have field going, but he has deputy of detention, which he's blinking with ephemerates in order to exile and reset my zombies. This goes super long. I'm trying to win by like making 3 zombies a turn, and I have a Vesuva copied with Stronghold copied with Vesuva, and I'm trying to like swing with hasty zombies that then I can double strike with Sunhome. This one goes super long. Loving listening to this Sauherd matchup while playing against it. Yeah, I think that this deck is actually pretty good. I'm kind of sold on it. I don't think it's that is as memey as I originally thought it was, and we're just going super long, and he's just like he's getting my zombies every time, and I'm just like getting more zombies, and I haste them, and I swing with them, and trigger, and there's like we're like the last game going, and this is turn 4, and my opponent on the other side is on turn 4, and he's like he picks the top card, and he's like and he like lifts his eyebrows, and I'm like I know about the Eternal Witness's hand, and he's like pay 5 mana, cast Time Warp, and I'm like yeah okay dude you got it, so I concede to him. I realized later that he did not have the loop set up. That's because he only had 6 mana, but at that point I'm like out of gas, and he's gonna be just like looping it with and Time Warp like over 2 turns every time, and I'm just like yeah okay sure whatever you got it. So I punted by conceding, but I honestly like it. I would have probably done the same thing. It's just like a second draw doesn't really help us anymore. Like we're X2 and 2 at that point, and like I don't even know what the double draw bracket looks like. So at this point I'm just like oof, that was some long like 2 hours of non-stop magic in super grindy matchups, and I'm kind of beat a little bit. Again, my opponents so far have been like incredible, and I this was the theme on the entire tournament, and I think it's important to point it out. Every single one of my opponents was a delight, and everyone was super friendly, nice. It was nice to talk to them, and they would lose and they would still be like, "That was good games, man. Thanks for the games." Shake my hand and everything. It was just cool. I'm gonna miss it though, so God knows what happens here. That seems like an interesting matchup for sure. So then I get paired against the Gak, and this is against nice guy, but he is definitely not very talkative at all. He just doesn't talk much, so he's just like mulliganing. He just moves to 5. He moves to 5, and again, this happened twice in the tournament. My Hogak opponent moves to 5, and I somehow on turn 2 I'm staring at 2 attacking Vengevines and 1 Hogak in play. I'm like, what the fuck is this deck? Like, how is this? Okay, sure. So I scoop. I just keep a medium hand, like with Colony Garden and 2 bounce lands and Asusa and Scout, but it's just like it's just too much. Like move to 5 double Vine and Gak is just done. Very happy we won't be seeing that one often anymore. I actually beat. I think I beat him. I think I actually stole one from him. Yeah, I definitely stole 1 game from him. So I guess I actually lost 1 and 2 to the Gak here. But yeah, it's pretty not relevant, honestly. It's just like he just didn't have much game 2, and then I just didn't have much game 3. Like the games that I lost against Hogak were just because of that. It's just like it was just not great. My draws just didn't work up well. Then I get paired against Greentron, and I'm sitting right next to. So I'm sitting here, and to my left on the other side is Garrett, who's a member of the Discord, another sub of the channel, and we have talked multiple times during the weekend. and he's like, and he's telling me, yeah, I just lost to Mono Green Tron, and then in front of me sits a guy, and he's like, and after playing Amulet, he's like, oh yeah, I guess I'm just playing against this deck 2 rounds in a row, and I look at Garrett, and he's like that's the guy that I drew with. So I played against Mono Green Tron, and again, super nice guy. I just tightened him game 1 with an Amulet. He can't really do much after mulligan to 5, I think. Game 2, I have a draw that it's basically I need to draw an untapped source. If I draw an untapped source, because I don't have an Amulet, if I do draw an untapped source, then I can get ahead, because he just played Karn and he minused on my land, and I activated the Tribe Scout. Dual Shark, thank you for the follow. And I activated Scout, so I kind of whiffed his Karn activation. And then on the following turn, I have 2 Scouts in place, so I can attack him with one Scout, and I have 1 untapped land in hand. So if I manage to draw exactly 1 untapped hand in this turn, I might be able to stabilize. And I whiff, and then he pluses Karn, he Ugins, and it's just over. And then game 3, he moves to 5, I think, also, and I just have a solid hand. And I just Ramming up Asusa, Ghost Quarter lock him, which was cool. No amulets or anything, just like a fair turn 4 Titan, Ghost Quarter you, and then turn 5 swing with Titan, and pact for ramming up, and just like go after your lands. So a fair draw, but still definitely good enough to beat Mono Green Tron. Greg Sequera, thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. Then again, my opponent got Ghost Quarter Asusa locked, and he's still like, he's nice, and we talked for like a good 5-10 minutes after the match. Very, very nice guy from the Swedish fan base. Amazing performance at the GP and on this great thank you, Isitos, I really appreciate it. Next round I play against John, and my opponent is his name is Jim, super nice dude. He wasn't very familiar with the Amulet matchup, so he's like reading all my cards, because I go like turn 1. Oh, thank you, Cloud Scraper, I appreciate it. I go like turn 1 Colony Garden, and he's just like picking it up and reading my Colony Garden. I'm like, oof, okay, you're gonna have a rough time there, because if you don't know don't know the John Amulet matchup, I do feel like I am very heavily favored. If you do know the John Amulet matchup, then it's very close. But yeah, so I kind of run him over game 1. He has like Liliana and Goif going on, and it's just like it just doesn't matter because I have Titan. He does not have any disruption. And then game 2, I go. Yeah, when people recast, it's usually very, very good sign for the owner of those. Yep, I agree with that. And game 2, he's like, I guess that he, again, because he was not very familiar and he saw that I was playing so many like crazy non-basic lands. He even saw. No, I didn't show him the field game 1. I choose to not show him. And oh no, I do show him. Yeah, the field actually is one of the things that wins me game 1, or it stabilizes in front of a possible Ridden Liliana or whatever. And game 2, he makes like he makes a gamble basically, which is he's not familiar with my list obviously, so he makes a gamble, and I go turn 1 basic forest, he goes turn 2, like he played turn 1 tapped Overgrown Tomb, turn 2 Blackleg Cliffs, and I'm like draw step, and he's like, on your drop step I have effects, and he trophies my basic forest, and I'm like resolves. Yeah, so I do, and I go and I fetch a basic forest, and he's like, I made a gamble and didn't pay off. I'm like, yeah, I'm just like, yeah, that's good deck building, So I play a land, I play like a Gems of Mine maybe, and then he untaps and he plays a land, and he goes go, and I go draw step, and he's like, I have effects on your draw step, and he trophies my other forest, and I pick up the deck and I shuffle. He's like, "Oh, how many of those do you have?" And I put it and I put the Snow Covered Forest into play, and I shuffle and stuff, and then I play a Semi-Growth Chamber, and I bounce the forest, and I pass the turn to him because I don't really have any plays, and then he draws, and he plays a land and passes. And I go trust him, and he's like, "I have effects." trophy or Semi-Growth Chamber. I'm like, "God damn, okay." And I grab the deck, and he's like, "Oh, how many basics are you playing?" And I fetch the second Snow Covered form. I'm like, I really hope he doesn't have another one, because now that it's actually straight mine now. So I play my land, and I think I play like a Trinket Mage or something. So he fulminates me. He fulminates like one of my gemstone mines. But then I finally draw an Azusa, so I spit out my hand, and then I eventually draw a Titan, and he just cannot keep up. Funny enough, he played 2 engineers, and both of them were naming human. So he managed to like kill my Azusa and my Trinket Mage that way. It didn't end up mattering because eventually I did top deck a Titan, and then of course, you know, once Titan comes down, it's just kind of game over. But yeah, the funniest thing is like he finishes the match and he says, "Man, I'm a fan of lands in Legacy. Like that's my favorite deck. I have no idea why I'm not doing what you are doing." I'm like, "Dude, highly recommend it." So yeah, hopefully we have a convert, you know, guys. We have another member of the community. Hopefully I was able to convert him into the Amulet life. But yeah, super nice guy, and you know, again, we end up talking a little bit afterwards, and you know, having a good time. Did you give him the link to your channel? I did. He actually asked for it. I told him that I was a streamer, and I like wrote it down for him, so he could look me up. So hopefully he will check out the stream. But yeah, super nice guy. I'm too late. And then finally, last round. I am facing the last round. This is literally the most important match of my Magic career, because I'm playing for potentially $200. So literally the most important match of my paper Magic career, bar none, because it's the only one that's actually for something. The first one that's actually for something. So I have my opening 7, and my opponent again super nice. We talk. He's also a Tool fan, and I'm like, "Oh, so dude, that's so sick." He's like, he tells me he's super excited about the album that's coming out. I'm like, "Dude, that's so awesome." Yeah. He told me, we talk a little bit and stuff. Super nice guy. His name is Lucas. And then I look at my opener. He mulligans down to 6. I look at my opener, and I have Bog, Semi-Growth, and a couple of other. I think I had Colony Garden, and just like Scout, Azusa, Titan, and something else. And you know when you have the read. Do you guys know when I say I have the read here on stream? I had the read. You know when you just have the read. I just had the read. So he goes ahead and he moves again down to 5, and then he keeps. I'm like, okay. BMJ MTGO, thank you for the follow. So he goes turn 1 looting, turn 1 Cleaves looting, and I'm like, Nari Bog. The chanting begins in my head. I'm like, all right. He discards Vengevine, and what did he discard? I think he discarded like Vengevine and a land. I'm like, turn 1 Bojuki Bog target you. He's like, yep. Can I use the Nutty Bog command? I guess we can, Aaron. Yeah, I'm gonna let you have that one. So I have the Nutty Bog. So my opponent goes. turn 2 supplier carrion feeder, and he passes. And then I play my bounce land and I pass it turn to him, and then he plays Satyr Wayfinder, mill 1 Vengevine and a Carrion Feeder, play Gag, trigger Vine, get back the Gravecrawler. And I'm like, you have to be kidding me. This gun is gonna go way up. Yeah, I really hope so, Aaron. So even though I had the Natty Bog, the Gag is so fucking absurd that I lose the game anyway. It just doesn't matter. So I move to game 2, and game 2 is a Field of the Dead game. It's a Field of the Dead game, and I'm just like going super wide, and he's attacking with the Gag, and I am chomping, like putting 5 zombies in front of it. He's attacking with something else, and I'm putting like a bunch of things in front of everything. He eventually realizes that he just cannot keep up, and then he just scoops it up. And game 3, it's just like I'm shuffling, and it's just like, this is it. This game is $200, but I'm chill. I'm relaxed. I think you know, again, my opponent has been nice. It's like, even if I lose here, it's gonna be cool. You know, I'm having an amazing time. I'm talking to my opponent. This is super cool. And we're like, you know what? Here we go. Give him the deck. He shuffles or whatever, and I think he mulligans. I'm actually not sure about this. I should have wrote it down. But I look at my opener, and my opener is Amulet, Azusa, Primetime, Bounce Land, 1 land, and T-Rings, I think. Yeah. So that's my no, I'm missing 1. I know. I don't know what. I think it was maybe a path. And I'm like, all right, we're going for it. Sounds good. Keep. And I tell him, and I keep. So I go turn 1 Amulet. My opponent passes the turn. I go turn 2 Azusa, and I make a couple of land drops. No. So I go. Yeah. So I make a couple of land drops, and then my opponent taps. Ethan Magic Brown, thank you for the follow. And then in response to the Azusa trigger, in response to the first Amulet trigger, he says, "Hold on." He has played like a couple of dudes in the first couple of turns, so it's not doing much. And he tanks for a second. He's like, "Hold on," like, okay. And then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to force your Amulet." I'm actually super happy that he didn't force on my upkeep. That would have been so much worse for me. But I'm like, I guess he was trying to like milk some extra value. So I bounce my land and I play Azusa, so I start developing my mana. I draw a card, he plays some more stuff, and then I untap and I get Trinket Mage, and I trinket for another Amulet, because at this point he doesn't have much going on. But I can actually, you know, start clocking him really quickly if he doesn't have anything else, like any other way to answer my board. And then he draws, I think, like a Stitcher Supplier, and he mills like the nuts. He mills like Vengevine, Hogak, and something else. So now I am facing like a very real board state. But I know that I have the Amulet in hand, and I know that I have the Primetime in hand with the Bounce Land. So I'm like, okay, I can still do a lot of damage here. This is turn 3, or turn 4 at this point, and I can still do a lot of damage here, and I can force that Hogak to chump block, and then I can set up a kill. At this point, I am at 14. I'm at 14, and like, I don't think that he can clock me that much right now, and I can force that Hogak to chump. No, I'm at 6. Oof, yeah, this is actually tight. So I'm trying to. I top the Grafdigger's Cage, and this one makes me think, because it's one of the things that, you know, he has no cards in hand, so I'm not playing around anything from his hand. I'm playing around the top of his deck. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, what happens if he top decks an answer to the cage? Should I bog him, or should I try to set up in case he draws an Assassin's Trophy? So he He only has 3 mana available to him. I see looting in the graveyard, and I see 1 Gravecrawler. I know that the Gak is going to die, so that is the second creature. And I think there's 1 or 2. I think there's 2 Vines in the graveyard as well. And I'm tanking, and I know that I can double strike the Titan, so the Gak has to die because he needs to chump block, otherwise he dies because he's at 14. And then I eventually figure that if he does have, which I made a mistake here, and he actually pointed out afterwards, it was late. It was late. So I decide to, with the Titan attack trigger, I get Field of the Dead plus Tolera West in order to set up future Titans. So I can double strike while also getting Field plus T West. He attacks with the I attack with the thing. I get a couple of zombies, and then I play the Grafdigger's Cage in my second main phase. Then he draws. He tanks for a second. He tanks for a second. He tanks for a second, and then he extends the hand and concedes. And then he tells me, yeah, if you had gone, you should have bugged me there. That's basically what he said. But I just don't know that even if he answers the cage, maybe I can still like just chomp my way out of it. I don't know. He was getting like multiple vines and stuff, so maybe he actually had lethal. But yeah, I mean, I just shook his hand and I'm like, glory, absolute glory. My main goal for this weekend was to do better than a GPLA, right? Like that's it. Isn't that like everybody's goal, right? We always want to make sure that we are improving, and it was definitely awesome to have day 2 basically 2 out of 2 GPs with Amulet, so 100% conversion rate. Feels pretty good, not gonna lie to you, it feels pretty good. The deck is just gives me nothing but joy. And then it was also very nice to know that I was able to manage to not only do better but also cash. I wasn't I didn't really go with the expectancy to cash. As my exact record, though, I didn't cash my second one. Yeah. So this was like a 2,000 people event. So it went over the limit. So instead of paying down to top 64, I think it paid down to top 175. So I ended up in 112th place, and with $200 in my pocket. So again, the main thing that I took from the weekend was just how much fun it was. How much fun it was to meet a bunch of people from the Discord, to meet supporters from Twitch and stuff. It was awesome to I really appreciate the whole like putting a face to the Twitch chat name. You know what I'm saying? I really like that, and it really is awesome. It was great to meet so many other Amulet players, and most of us doing so well. It really was awesome. It really was awesome. I had an amazing time, and it really, just like I said at GPLA, it really makes me want to do this kind of stuff more often. So I think from now on, basically, if there's a modern GP in the West Coast, I'm going to try to do my best to be there. I don't know if I'm gonna be there for like limited GPs and stuff. I don't really care for that as much, but for sure, I will try to be there more often. GP Indy, isn't that the East Coast though? Indianapolis? Like, what I'm saying is, like, unless I get to 100% cover it with like donations and stuff, I don't want to pay $500 for a flight. That is the big thing, So the flight cost is gonna be the big thing probably moving forward, more than anything else. But it really was awesome. I had an incredible time, and then even for bonus in the last day and Sunday yesterday, I played an MH1 draft. Sweet deck. I got a blue-black ninjas deck with like triple Moonblade Shinobi and triple like Shroud thing, the flying ninja thing. It really was awesome. But yeah, so thanks to everybody that made this weekend amazing. And again, if I ever go to a GP, never ever hesitate to to uh, to come and say hi. As far as the list goes, I think that we kind of nailed it. I honestly think that we kind of nailed it. How you doing, GGX member? Um, I think we kind of nailed it. The list felt incredible all weekend. The list felt super super good. The matches that that I lost were because I got no GX member. I'm about to go on that. What are your thoughts on Lotus Fuel in Amulet? Does it work? Yes, very much it does. It very much does. And it was incredible against Hogak. I was super happy. Like the 29th land being Amulet, which is something that we had tried back with some Karn versions and stuff. Just adding field as a 29th land. It worked out perfectly. The split between Snow Covered and Basic Forest, which by the way, on Thursday of the event, I was able to finally basically I just pimped up my basic game to the max. Just look at these beauties. Just look at these beauties. Right? Two of the best basic. We all know that this is the best basic. Just beta guys with the little face. Here we go. Same ones. Black border. And then of course, the correct snow covered forest as well. So nice. So I already had this one, but this one is LP and this one is MP basically, and I already had the LP for like 4 years or something, but I always had just the one, so I could never make it to like the full play, like the full 4 for Amulet. So I basically was never able to play with it because I was playing with the playing the brown sleeves. No, these are copper. Copper is the color. They were like $7 Dragon Shields, so they were the cheapest one, and I do like Dragon Shields a lot, so it definitely worked out very nicely. But yeah, so it was definitely nice to be able to. I saw one of those and it was MP for $7, and I loved it. No, beta. I mean, I guess so. I do have a pair of alpha basics, but the frame is weird, and the quality of the card, like it's not as thick. So this one have when I say like the border is nice, so the border actually matches the border of regular Magic cards. You see that it's more like rounded and stuff, more like cornered, right? The alpha ones are like super rounded. I do have alpha cards downstairs. I can maybe show them later, but yeah, these are my favorite basics ever. So I was very happy that I was able to find them, because I tried to get them and like at my LGS they had it like $20. I'm like, hell no, I'm not spending $20 on that basic. So here they had them at 7. Because there was this place that had everything super cheap. It was awesome. I bought so many cards in that place. Yeah, so I saw it at 7. I'm like, I have to. Now with the split with Snow Covered Forest, it actually is way more justifiable. So I went ahead and I do it, and I got them. Why are these my favorite forests? Because the old frame, black bordered, is just... It has so much sentimental value for me, because I remember like when I started playing it's with Odyssey, and I thought that the original like border back then was just incredible. I don't know, it just looked so nice, because I was used to like Pokemon cards, because I used to be a Pokemon player before I moved over to Magic, and it just looked so like raw, so like it just looked cool. I just thought it looked super cool. And then that's why I always try to go for the OG art of things. And then I remember when they announced Mirrodin and the new border, I'm like, they're really, we're never coming back. Magic is never gonna be the same. Blah 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 blah. And so I still do enjoy me some beta cards. The sentimental value is just so high, and that is my dude. Yeah, Odyssey was sick, dude. I still have I still have Blue-Green Madness right here. That's how much I loved Odyssey block. I still have the entire deck right here. You see? So I have my Careful Studies, like all the Blue-Green Madness cards. And as you can see, you know, they're mostly like old border except for the basics. So like Rotwala, I still have my deck from way back in the day. In fact, I finished this deck 2 or 3 years ago when I bought finally bought the second Intuition. Played Madness in Pauper. I wish it was good. It's probably not good enough. Yeah, Blue-Green Madness was just gas back then, dude. I loved it. And I also loved, like, and that's why I enjoy trading so much, is because I love that you build the deck over, like, months. Like, I built Blue-Green Madness through, like, 8 months when I was playing, like, with, you know, 4 Mongols, but just only 1 Wonder. So whenever I finally drew my Wonder, I could discard it to my 1 Mongol. It was just, like, so awesome. And I'm like, yeah, I'll discard this one. You know? Do you got the syllabus? No, I did not have survivals, unfortunately. Yeah, Bullet Flight. Blue-Green Max is awesome. I will go over that in a second, Papa John's Napkins. I think you didn't get an answer about your true question. I mean, opponent is terrible. You don't want to sack lands. It's too dangerous, too clunky. Oh, I missed J Pony's question. Oh, Lotus Field. No. Lotus Field doesn't work. Oh, my bad, J Pony. I was mistaken. I thought you meant Field of the Dead. So I only read Field. I didn't leave Lotus. No, Lotus Field is unplayable. It's terrible. It doesn't work. It's super bad. The sack a land clause is just too much. We don't want to sack lands. You could potentially, and I said this already, you could probably like build a version of Amulet with like main the Ramin apps and stuff like that in order to like make up for that. So maybe you can build like a version of Amulet with like Lotus Field and like Rens and Ramin apps and stuff like that. I don't think it's gonna be better than this, but it might be like a fun thing to try. So Rabbit is like my favorite Magic card ever. Yeah, it's pretty sick. How good were the Trinket Mage? Great questions. Trinket Mage was insane all weekend. It was amazing. It was amazing. It enabled for so many. It enabled me to break through by fetching amulets all weekend. It was awesome. I got Grafdigger's cages with it in order to look out Hogak opponents. It got me amulets more than anything. It got me explosives against John in order to help stabilize. It was just awesome. It was very, very good all weekend, and I really appreciate it. Helena Bloodson. There's a list floating around with Lotus Field, Flagstones, brought back, and Splendid Reclamation. Yeah, that sounds super memey to me. Gundog with a Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. Welcome back to the Primetime Stronghold. Alright. Everything else I want to say about the list. I think that we nailed it. I think that 29 lands with Field was incredible. Gracer was the most medium card all weekend. The only nice thing that I did is against Burn on game 2. I played it and my opponent, like it was blocking my opponent's Goblin Guide and Swift Spear all day, so he had to bolt it, and I was able to path in response in order to make it to 6 mana to Titan, and that is the game that I won against Burn. So it really worked in that specific scenario. The rest of the weekend, I honestly just didn't see it, and I sided it out a ton. I sided out against Hogak every time I faced it. I sided out against E-Tron. I sided out against what else? Wolf 19640. Thank you for the follow. I mean, I sided out against the Rend control deck, even though that was a mistake. Like, I would have liked to keep it, but I thought that they were an Ursa, and I definitely would have sided out against Ursa. Sided out against Neobrand, sided out against Blue White, against Soul Herder. So it came out a lot. And it was only really good in one situation, and it was just non-existent in the rest. Of course, as I was saying, the Elvish Spirit Guide mode, it just doesn't happen that often, so it didn't come up at all during the tournament. Yes, so Papa Jones, the plan for Gracer was to make sure that we still have 6 ways to ramp when we're siding out all Tribe Scouts. All Tribe Scouts come out against Mono Red Phoenix, which I did face, John, which I did face, but you know, we take out all of these cards and we bring in like interaction and stuff, but we also keep a decent amount of ramp in the deck. So that was the point for the Gracers, and yeah, it just didn't come up. It just didn't come up as much. But it was justifiable, I guess. Coalition Relic did do a decent amount of work. It fixed my mana nicely against one of my Hogak opponents at one time, and it would have, if my opponent hadn't had exactly a spell pierce on turn 1, it would have made me run away with that blue-white matchup for sure. Gulgorats, thank you for the follow, and I will answer to your question. Okay, so this list was awesome for the weekend. I think we nailed it. The Path to Exiles were excellent. The Purge was amazing. The 2 cages were spectacular. Trinket Mage was stellar. 29 land was awesome. I think that we all nailed it with all the stuff that we've been working on. Again, this list was originally based not of me, but it was based off of the person that won the Modern Challenge. I can't remember their name right now, but it was based off of that. I made some changes that I liked a lot, because they were doing a bunch of things that I didn't particularly like. So I think that, you know, Amulet community powers combined, we arrived at what was possibly the best Amulet list to be playing this past weekend. It really was incredible. It really was very good. Teeth Worms over here in chat, welcome, man. I think you were playing the exact 75, right? And I think this list was just spectacular. This was by far the best thing we could have been doing this weekend. And it really is nice when, you know, even as a community, we manage to, you know, really work together and, you know, really do make a lot of changes that were just incredible. You know, like all of the changes that we made were relevant. Moving to Trinket Mage, putting the Pact in the sideboard instead of the main deck. All of this stuff was just awesome. I was very, very happy with the list. And I never missed the negates. They would have never really changed anything. Trevor Prescott, thank you for the follow. Every single one of my sideboard cards was spectacular. I brought in every single one of my sideboard cards, and they all did a ton of work. So yeah, Papa John's Napkin. I ended up in 112th place, and it paid out 200 up to 175. So yeah, so this is the list that I played. Now, big changes. There was some crazy bannings. It was way more changes than I expected, and there were even changes that I was just thinking that were not going to happen. We got Hogak banned, we have Looting banned, which I was very, very surprised with, and we also had Stoneforge unbanned. This is huge. The changes that this makes is going to be incredible. First of all, well, Hogak is out. We don't need to worry about that stupid card anymore. That was a design mistake. They really, really, really fucked up. And I guess they finally owned up to it and they fixed it. Alright, cool. Moving on. Faceless Looting. I was not expecting this. I was thinking that when Hogak would get banned, Phoenix was actually going to be one of the top tier decks in the format, both in blue-red and in mono-red versions. So I was very, very, very surprised by this. I do expect that the mono-red prowess deck will continue to exist. It will just be probably like a little bit less consistent and more aggressive. So maybe what they will do is maybe they will start playing maybe more lands. But I think that the shell of the deck is still very powerful. Of course, it's not going to play Phoenix anymore. Maybe they will not play Reveler, or they will like play one-off Reveler or something like that. So I do agree that the Phoenix deck, Phoenix deck will continue to exist, and it probably will continue to be a problem for us. It's actually very likely for that to be the case. So I'm not surprised. But yeah, so that's definitely huge. Dredge becomes significantly worse. That is actually bad for Amulet. I would have really wished that looting, like if Dredge were the only deck that was actually, you know, very good with Faceless Looting, I would have liked for it to continue being like that. I do think that Sodek and like, you know, the Dredge Masters are going to try to make it work, maybe with Sitter Supplier or some other stuff, but I think it's going to be just much more weaker. Sounds terrible, just much weaker, and that it will be a much smaller percentage of the metagame. However, I do think that it's going to continue to be played. Blue-Red Phoenix is basically it's not going to exist anymore. Steam Blood, thank you for the follow. Maybe we're going to start to see some like Thing in the Ice decks with maybe Pyromancer's Ascension. So that's going to be kind of a big deal. Then we're going to have Storm. Storm is going to come back in a big way because now people are not going to be main decking Surgicals anymore. So Storm is definitely going to make a very, very big comeback, which is terrible for us. It's so bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what my starting point is going to be as far as a list. Can you guys see this cyber? No, you cannot. Okay, let me fix this real quick. I'm going to put this here. And then we can do this right here. So we can put the Karn board here. All right. So this is going to be my starting point. This is going to be the starting point that you're going to see me testing. The decks that I expect to go way up are going to be Ursa. I think Ursa is going to be one of the top decks in the format. So Ursa is going to be definitely something that we're going to want to be prepared for. Hence, Karn. So Ursa is going to be huge. Hardened Scales is going to be pretty damn good as well. So I definitely want to be prepared for Scales as well. Hence, Karn. Mr. Question Mark 44 with a Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much for that subscription. Welcome to the Primetime Stronghold. Enjoy your emotes. Really appreciate the support. So those that is like what I expect to be like the tier 0 of the format. We're gonna have Ursa, potentially Scales, maybe some other graveyard decks like Storm combo decks. It lasts forever. I don't think that Infa is going to be good because Jund is going to be very good now. The main Jund Boogeyman, gone. Jund doesn't need to worry about Hogak anymore. And Dredge, which is another miserable matchup for Jund, is going to be very, very, very weaker. So I think that this is going to be a good place to start. Karn makes sure that we have a solid amount of threats against like Jund and stuff. It's incredible against Ursa. It kind of bridges the gap towards prime time. Humans might be very good again. I honestly don't think so because again Jund is going to come back up in the tiers. And one deck that I have not seen people talking about is Death Shadow. And I don't know why that is, because that deck is insane. That deck is insane now. That deck really struggled against stuff like Dredge and what's his name? And Hogak. And now Grixis Shadow is probably going to be all over the place. So probably Grixis, and Mardu is very good as well. So I expect Mardu to still be heavily played. But both of those decks are just going to be very, very good. I think Shadow is actually decent against Jund. It's not so good against humans, definitely poor against humans, but I don't think that humans is going to be that good. Yeah. So yeah, Modern is definitely going to be in flux. The Stoneforge Mystic unban will definitely encourage a lot of brewing from everybody. So I do expect to be facing a bunch of like blue-white, like Squadron Hawk mid-range decks. Definitely for sure, we're gonna be seeing that in Modern in the near future. Hopefully, and maybe this makes red decks and like very aggressive aggro decks a little bit rough, because we are gonna definitely see a very strong resurgence in mid range, and that I think is gonna be great for us. A strong resurgence in mid range means that we get to prevail, because we kind of beat on mid range, and we also beat against the deck that beats on mid range, which is Tron, right? So especially with the Karn is incredible against Ron. So this is, I think, it's going to be the build that I'm going to start with moving forward. You're going to see the changes that I made. I'm going back to a Braid. Now the only deck where where Path is. Oh, thank you, MB Willis. I really appreciate it. The only deck that I think that we're going to be wanting Path over a Braid is really going to be a Shadow. So I think it's kind of worth it to just give up the Shadow matchup, because a Braid is going to make us much better against Storm. See, now we can actually play a removal, right? Which otherwise we can't, because Path is terrible against Storm. A Braid is actually serviceable, so we can actually play removal against Storm. This card is much better against humans, and we get to play a second Force of Vigor against Ursa and stuff. A Braid also incredible against Ursa. So Hardened Scales also gets taken care of by a Braid and Force of Vigor. I do want to come back to the Negates and the main deck pact. This is actually important. Now with Hogarth no longer reigning in the format, I do expect these cards to be necessary against Storm and stuff like that. So I do think that this might be relevant. And yes, we're looking at Crossroads here. We're looking at Crossroads instead of Radiant Fountain. And the reason for that is it just has been relevant, basically. I might go back to Radiant Fountain, trying to, maximize my turn 3 cards. That might be a good idea and something that I will explore for sure. But I'm going to start with Crossroads just because it has been relevant. The only thing that I'm considering is back to 29, back to 28 land, sorry, and Field of the Dead being a third engineered explosives. This is something that I'm going to test as well. I would maybe like to make room for another Coalition Relic / Gracer. Again, I was actually quite happy with the plan of being able to board out all scouts. We're gonna see how the meta shapes up. I am going to start with this, and I'm not gonna play tomorrow. I don't know if you're hearing it, but my voice is like pretty like rusty and stuff. I just like the Vegas air is just miserable. It's like so much smoke everywhere, even inside like the casinos and stuff. So like I actually talked a lot, and I talked very loudly. So yeah, my voice has been very messed up. I am in a little bit of pain right now talking to you, because I've been talking for almost 2 hours. So I don't think I'll be streaming anymore today. I also kind of want to take a break from Magic after 3 very, very long days. But yeah, I am definitely gonna be starting with this. The chopping block is going to be here and here in terms of the Karn board. Whoops. Here and here in terms of the Karn board, and here and here in terms of the non-Karn cards. So I'm going to start with this list. I will be back tomorrow, same time, 11 a.m. PST, and I will be going through some gameplay, obviously. But yeah, we're definitely going to be starting here. Yeah, those are my thoughts on the format. I think that a Braid is going to be better than Path for the foreseeable future, unless John and Shadow just prove to be like the real top tiers, if they do get ahead of all the mid-range battles, all the people just jamming Stoneforge and Jace and stuff, and then people answering with K Command and Bloodbraid Elf. How do you feel about Assassin's Trophy? Worse than a Braid. It basically does the same thing except it's significantly harder to cast, because now you need a green source and a gemstone mine in order to cast it. So Assassin's Trophy is significantly harder to cast than a Braid. It does kind of the same thing. The only thing that it answers that a Braid does not is stuff like Shadow. And the green splash, the red splash is actually so much better because it actually gives us extra value in terms of activating our lands, both Sandhome and Stronghold. So those are all reasons why I would I don't think I would want to trophy. Also, trophy is unplayable against Storm, which I'm again expecting to become a very big contender in the metagame, and it's worse against Scales, Ursa, all that stuff. So, could you explain how Crossroads is better than Fountain in a non-white build? So Hon, the idea is that it gives us access to extra colors here. Honestly, this is just me kind of being fond of this card more than anything else. It is very possible. In fact, this is what I used to do in like non-white builds, and I guess I'll probably start here anyway. This is just like I can just copy and paste it the list that I play in Vegas, and I consider changing that, and I'm like, nah. But maybe the ETB untapped is just more relevant than the in order to secure the turn 3 Karn instead of the white source, in order to help activate Sunhoma and Stronghold. That does come up though. It does come up, but it's probably not as relevant as the Radiant Fountain. Testing will tell. As you know, if you're probably watching the stream, I am definitely not one to have things set in stone. And definitely I don't mind changing stuff. I feel like your voice is getting better compared to when you had 2 hours ago. Yeah, you think so? I feel like it's much more like tired. I do feel like I have a tired voice right now. Ever considered counting a scout for a relic? Nope. No, I think scout is excellent, and I do think that scout. Like, if I could play 5 scouts, I would not play relic. That's how strongly I feel about this card. In fact, we did that, but I do think that Sky Shroud Ranger is significantly worse than relic. So that is where I draw the line. The instant speed of Scout is just it's very relevant. It's like a very big part of why the card is great. When is the ban effective on Moto? I think that it's already effective, but I'm not very sure. How do you try a Highbind list? I don't think Highbind is going to be very good. Again, I said that Ursa is going to be a main contender. Highbind's terrible against Ursa. Jund is going to be a main contender. Highbind's terrible against Jund. So there, like, a bunch of the main contenders in the modern that I expect to come up are just Highbind is just bad against. So I don't think that I want to be jamming Highbind. I think that Karn just does a much better job being insane against both of the decks that I just said that were bad. Highbind is good against like Sean, with Karn is also stellar against, and Blue White, where Highbind is actually a little bit better than Karn, not by much, but definitely better. Is Dubai gonna be too good now that they don't need to main the graveyard head in the voteless slot overall? I would expect so. Yeah. I would expect Blue White to be another one of the top tiers of the format. However, I don't really expect Blue White to play Stoneforge. I think that the decks that are going to play Stoneforge are going to be just more mid-rangey decks, potentially with Squadron Hawk and stuff, or at least with Weaver of Runes and whatnot. But I don't think Blue White is going to play Stoneforge. I just don't think it does what you want it to do, and it also makes your opponent's removal good in game 1, which is definitely not something that you want to be doing. Could Spirits make a comeback without Phoenix? Maybe. I could see Spirits being solid again. Another reason to want to raid over Path. There you go. I answered about Amulet. Have you tried Golos? It's only a pet card. Yeah, it's only a pet card. It's not very. I don't think it's that good. It's just fine. I think it's worse than all the other cards that I'm playing in this list. Maybe you could play Golos over the Field of the Dead, because I don't think this card is going to be as necessary now that Gak is banned. So maybe this can either be a sideboard card or just not be in the deck at all. I kind of like the whole like 29 land thing though. But that is, I mean, if you want to play Golos, you can play it probably over the Field. Maybe I could try to make a room for a second Coalition Relic or a Gracer. I honestly did enjoy the fact that I could just side out all 4 of my scouts and still have a decent amount of ramp in my deck. That did feel pretty nice. However, now the matchups where I side out Scout are not gonna be as popular unless Ren decks become more of a thing. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Just place a healer. We know that the tier 0 deck. What do you think of Damping Matrix? For those of you know, Damping Matrix is actually an old school one. It's like what Damping Sphere is based off, except that activators of it basically blocks activated abilities. Why would be my question? Maybe if Devoted Druids becomes a big part of the metagame. It's sick that this is effectively the same card, except it costs 1 mana, while this costs 3. So against like Devoted Druid decks, like this card is significantly better than this. And I don't really see where else you would want to play this card. It's a cool card. I remember when people played it in the Twin meta game, because it's Shadow of Twin. But yeah. Oh, nice. Yes, yeah. Thank you. How did you end up doing? I didn't. Were you playing humans? No, Phoenix and Spirits used to play on humans. Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see Spirits coming back. It's been a while. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. Congrats to you as well. Scott is my friend. He was playing Phoenix. He was playing Mono Red Phoenix, and he did actually 11 and 4 the GP. He made even more money. I ended up in 112, and if I had finished on 110th, I would have gotten 250 instead of $200, and he finished 67th. And if he had gotten 64th, he would have also gotten a bump in price. So bad beats for both of us, but still a very, very solid result. Played humans, had a rough 3-3. It happens. Had a ton of fun. Got home 5-0 though, so we made up for it. Nice. Value, definitely value. So yeah, the pricing cut really got us. Bad beats. Still a very, very solid result for both of us. But yeah, that's gonna be unfortunately it for me today. My voice is really tired. Honestly, I just cannot really stream like this. It's very exhausting. So I will be tomorrow. Hopefully I will be feeling better, and if I do, I'm definitely going to start by testing this list that I'm showing you right now. So if you want to check it out, if you want to start testing in the new crazy Stoneforge Field meta, this is what I would start with. So if you want to have like an opening list that you want to try out, I would start with something like this for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have some lunch, eat, drink some tea and stuff like that. Thanks for streaming with the Herbers. Feel better to get some. Thank you, Han. I really appreciate it. So yep, we'll for sure be back tomorrow. We're gonna have some nice little testing. So if you want to see some Amulet gameplay with back to car Amulet, hopefully it works. Hopefully it is as good as I expect it to be, and I get to play my favorite version of the deck once again. And we can give a host to. Oh, nice! K Ponce is streaming as well. All right, so we're going to be giving a host to Kevin. He actually cardpooled with him. So if you don't know you don't know him, he's a very good he top 32 the event with Thalia Stompy. But I catch the Baltimore's legacy. Oh, nice. Yeah, thanks everybody for catching it. Again, I apologize for the short stream today, but I just can't really keep going. Hope you enjoyed the GP recap and my predictions for the modern meta. I'm actually super excited to play some modern without Hogak. So yeah, I really cannot wait for tomorrow when I'll be doing some nice little gameplay action. See you all tomorrow. Have an amazing rest of your day and take care. Bye bye.